Hi everybody, it's Robbie. I always show you my garden and I come through and I show you my stevia. Well, I want you to know that in my garden here, where it's beautiful and sunny, and I'm in Southern California and we get warm in the summer, I cannot grow stevia here. It seems to struggle. So I had actually given up on stevia. I had it growing all through here where my kale's growing, and it would be kind of stringy, wouldn't be growing that nice, full of stems, little leaves, and it died back and it never came back. So, over a year ago, I came home with one small stevia plant. Let's see, I believe this is the original pot in here. See the pot in here? But when I bought it, and I bought it at Home Depot, it was full. There must have been like 30 little plants in there. So I tasted it when I was at the store, because what I have been told and heard and read, that every stevia plant can be a little bit different. Some might have a really nice sweet taste, some might have a little bit of a bitter taste to it. They're all different. So I tasted a couple of the leaves on the one I bought, and they were really, really sweet. So I brought it home, and what I did was I took it out of the pot and I busted it apart, and I planted some here and some in here, and you'll see some are in pots and some are straight in the big pot, some are in little pots. And then I planted one here. Now this one had died back completely, and it just came back. It was covered by the geranium plant. Gary didn't know. He said he wanted to trim it. And I said, yeah, there's a stevia and a sorrel back there. See my sorrel? And he goes, you're kidding. And I said, no, see, here's the stick. And I said, yeah, I left the stevia plant back there. So he trimmed it back and it looked like it was dead. But it wasn't dead. It came back. And then I've got, let's walk over here where I have my tomatoes growing. I put one stevia, okay, I'm not even sure where it is. Oh, there it is. It's down here. See, there's a stevia plant here too. And that's in a pot. So the pot is in the big tub, and the roots can leave. But if you look at this one, let me see if I can get around. See how this one is? It's okay, but it's kind of on the small side. It's growing in with the mint. Actually, it's doing pretty good now. I trimmed it all back. It gets a lot of sun. But the stevia that's growing here only gets morning sun. This one is doing better than anything. I had so much stevia last year, it was unreal. And now the same thing. I can propagate this by numerous ways. I can pull plants out, with a shovel, just dig some out and start a new pot. You can break it off. Simply break off a piece like that and then root it like tomatoes, sticking it in the ground. You can do it by seed, but then again, if you've got a plant you really like, you won't know if it's going to be as sweet as the mother plant. You just don't know because it can change. But if you take cuttings, you'll get the plant that you really like. But see how it's growing? It's growing in the pot. And again, like I do layers, I put this pot in this pot with some compost and wood chips, and so the roots, I can't move this pot. It's growing in there. So the roots have taken hold in the pot, and I do a lot of layering. But for some people, I've had some people ask me about stevia, and they said they couldn't grow it. I think the problem is, a lot of times they'll say grow it in full sun. Well, I'm finding out that my stevia here in Southern California doesn't like full sun. Maybe in Oregon, Washington, full sun where you're a little cooler would be fine. But here in the summer, stevia does not like it when it's in, upper 90s and they're getting beaten on with the hot sun. Their soft, delicate leaves don't seem to like it. But they don't mind the morning sun. They actually seem to really like it. And these were teeny plants. They were only like 3 inches tall. Again, I only bought one pot. See this small pot in here? That's the pot. One pot, and I separated it. So, if I wouldn't grow it by seed, but that's totally up to you. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I think it will be perfectly fine. But I would go to a store. I doubt they've taken the time to spray it. take a pinch off and just kind of taste it. If it's super sweet and it doesn't have a bite to it, that's the one you want. You want something that's really, really sweet. I consider mine really sweet. But that's another way of trying to grow stevia, is if you're having problems. Little Bean had messaged me and said that she had a problem with stevia. I believe it was Little Bean. I know it was Little Bean. And I think the problem is she had it in the sun. We're both 10A, zone 10A, which is, to be honest, ridiculous, since I can be 90 degrees the same day she could be 110. So it would be that hot temperature that would easily knock out her stevia. So that's why I'm really in the microclimates in your own yard. This is a microclimate. Right here I've created my own microclimate. So even if we hit 110, let's say, it's not going to be that hot here in the shade, and it's cooler, and they just grow differently. So if you're having an issue with stevia, try putting it in a cooler area. Give it morning sun if possible. Keep it away from the super hot sun, because they are, very delicate. The leaves are very soft and delicate. And if you find one you really like, start doing cuttings right away. Now, in the winter, the plant will die back to the ground. You can cut it all off, clean it all off. Don't hurt the roots. Make sure you keep it watered and take care of it, because the roots stay alive. And when it comes back, like now, this just came back a couple months ago. When it comes back with full force, and it's even bigger than it is before, because the roots are spreading. And the plant's getting bigger and bigger underneath, so it's going to be bigger and bigger on the top. This one is going to seed already, and it's a little bit of a different color for whatever reason. It could have even reseeded itself, because I do let it go to seed here. So what I might do is pinch off that, because I don't want it to go to seed right now. It's too early, and I would prefer to grow the plant just the way it is. So I hope, I've answered some questions on stevia, or given some people an idea of trying it a little differently. And hopefully you'll be able to grow some stevia. So if you're having an issue, and if you're in a hot area, I would definitely grow it in morning sun only. This only gets morning sun, and this is doing beautiful. If you're having an issue where maybe it's too cool where you are, and maybe you're trying to grow it in the shade, then I would move it into more sun. Because I think what it is my guess is it doesn't like the hot sun beating on it. That's what I would think. It's the really hot sun, and they do like to be damp. It doesn't have to be dry, soaking wet, but they do like to be damp, and I do water them. I water them every day. At night, I just give them a little water. They don't need a whole lot, but they do like their water. So with that, I enjoy it. I use it in my tea. And I think it would be great, if you try getting some. Go to your big box stores. They do carry stevia. They have it usually in the herb section. And try it. See if you like it. I blend it up when I do my tea. I have a special way I do my tea, because as you can see, here's peppermint growing in here. And I make my own tea, and I use stevia instead of sugar. And you do have to get used to it. It is a little different, stevia, than sugar, but you'll get used to it, and it's sweet. It's really, really nice. You can make stevia powder too, but that's another video. We'll do that another time. So I hope I've answered some questions, and maybe if you want, we can work on making some stevia powder, so you can just use it that way. So have a great day, and don't forget to eat what you grow or drink. Bye-bye.